I wish that we had a Kitsune deck for Worlds. But speaking of Kitsune and Mantis, I have a lovely treat for you guys here. I have Chris Medico on the stream here to answer a couple questions and talk about life. And L5R. So, Medico, you're obviously on the design team, so tell us everything that you can't tell us.
All that stuff that we're going to be actually going over some in the 20th anniversary party on Saturday. So if you can wait 2 days, then we can talk about stuff that I'm not allowed to talk about.
Fair. But, so for real questions, so obviously L5R's been around for 20 years now, so I'm supposed to ask you, what does L5R mean to you?
L5R to me is all about the community. So I started playing, like late 90s, early 2000s. Kind of been on and off since then. Obviously, I'm a designer now, so I kind of moved up, had some success, all that stuff. But it's always kind of been about traveling around, going to random places that I never really go to other than to play cards with a whole bunch of people that I'm friends with. So it's the sense of community and the sense of like communal, everyone enjoying something at the same time is really what draws me to it.
Cool. So, obviously you're a designer, so what do you like about designing, especially now that you get to design things like Mantis and Naga and stuff like that?
I like the process of starting from like a kind of design that's not really polished, anything like that, having a general idea for something, especially with what we can do in L5R of really focus on like a story for a specific card and just come up with some random concept of how to fulfill that on an actual card mechanic, and then going from the process of that into going through playtest and getting the art on it and everything like that and seeing that finished product. It's very, very interesting to see the changes that can happen to a card from point A to point B.
So, do you have a particularly favorite card that you've designed?
I think I've said this on one of the other podcasts I did, but I did the initial design for Goju Kamuro, the spider guy with the crazy spider head that ambushes people, and like
I don't like him.
Yeah, he's nice, and it seems like a lot of the spider players like him too. But it was a lot of coming up with a concept that I think worked for the Spider Ninja deck. Extrapolating from that, figuring out interesting way to do the mechanic, coming up with an interesting art description that the artist hit out of the park for it. So it's pretty good. I enjoy doing the spider designs, and obviously I did some of the Mantis in Thunderous Acclaim too, so we had to figure out the Prophetess from like, Story Prize from like 4 or 5 years ago now. They just never got carded, so this was like the perfect time for it since she was coming back into the story. So having to come up with a concept for that too was kind of interesting.
Awesome. So obviously hopefully we all know that you are a Mantis player. How do you feel about the whole Mantis going away?
Well, one of the first things I was given privy to information-wise when I joined the design team was that Mantis were going away, which as someone that had hopes to designing a lot of Mantis stuff was kind of a little disheartening.
Did you cry?
I did not cry.
Okay.
I may have shedded like a single tear. But they're coming back definitely at some point. Obviously with the path choices the way they are, there's a... Yeah, Mel was just pointing out the comments, me for free. Yes, I'll mention the podcast I was on a little later, but the hero we want and deserve. Oh, that's very nice of you, thank you.
So back to Mantis.
Back to Mantis. So I got to do, like I said, the designs in Thunderous Acclaim. We kind of passed off who was designing what clans for a little bit there, but I've been the one that's been doing a lot on the Mantis-specific Sensei that we're doing coming up in Onyx. So that's been an interesting design challenge that, again, I'll be able to discuss a little more in detail at the party. But figuring out how to keep them as a core part of the game without losing their uniqueness, using their identity, was a big thing.
Losing their kitsune.
Yes.
Well, I have an important question that I think everyone on the podcast wants to know, and I think you know what I'm going to ask you.
No bunnies.
Damn it.
For those of you that may not have heard Mel, but she's been pestering me for years now
And Reese.
to do a kitsune that summons a bunny. And even though on the kitsune Sensei and Ivory,
There is a bunny.
right on there.
For me.
That's as close as she's getting, because I mean, having a bunch of samurai get defeated by a bunny is a little more Monty Python than we want to.
There's also that spell with like the evil bunny coming out.
Yeah.
What's it called? I don't remember.
Yeah, it's from Emperor, yeah.
But people on the stream are saying Emperor is pretty awesome, so.
It had its moments.
So, as a player, what was your favorite tournament moment that you've ever had?
I think, other than obviously like winning my first Kote and all that stuff, like one of the big ones was Gencon a couple years ago. I was playing in a whole bunch of different events, and I actually managed to get to the finals in the draft event, the top 8 of the big deck event, and I went into the cut of the main event, ranked number 2 overall. So that was just kind of a culmination for me of like all these different varieties of playing L5R and all the different things you could do, and I was being successful at all of them. And that was kind of a sweet moment for me.
For those that don't know, Medico is kind of a big deal in every aspect of L5R.
I like to pretend I am, but it's just, I like playing the game a lot, and when you play the game as much as I do, then you have a tendency to find success at it.
So I know that up in the Northeast you guys love to draft just a lot.
Yep.
So do you really focus a lot on trying to figure out which cards you're going to put for drafting in the sets or anything like that?
It's a lot of preliminary work as we're doing the first designs, because Brian Reese was on Strange Assembly, and he kind of went over a little bit a couple weeks back of how we do the designs. But we get our assignments for the different designers on the team. We each design our cards, and there's kind of a peer review process before we bring it out to playtest, just like kind of doing a little idiot check of making sure cards work and everything. And at that point, we kind of go through and make sure that everything fits for the rarities that it is. And obviously in draft, you're paying a lot more attention to the commons and the uncommons in that aspect. So we try to put certain card effects in certain slots and certain rarities, so you can figure that out. So by the time it gets to draft playtest, it's already kind of at its core what you want it to be, and then you let development take it from there and balance the cards.
Fair. I had another question and I completely forgot it. All the free the Kitsune folks.
Yeah.
We're not allowed to free the Kitsune, I'm just going to say. So, is there anything else that you want to tell the stream? Any little spoilers about Onyx, maybe?
Like I said, the hope is that we'll have something for the party that goes online. So either streaming it or getting some of the information, maybe my presentation out there. There should hopefully be something, and if not, as you may know, I was on Strange Assembly last week doing the review, and I talked to Chris Stevenson.
You got 2 plugs, Strange Assembly.
Yeah, there you go. So I'll be on there in a couple weeks' time, talking over what I talk at Gen Con about the Naga and the Mantis and what they're doing in the future, going into Onyx and everything like that. So.
Yeah, we had Sean on earlier, and he said don't get attached to anything.
Yeah, it's a lot of things are going down in a big way, and it's making it even more and more fun to find ways to represent that in cards. So.
All right, well, thank you for coming to talk to us, and I'm sure that everyone here seems to be fangirling over you.
Yeah, there we go. All right, I will see some of you folks later.
Bye.